It's your girl, Alexa.
And your girl, Katresa.
And it's time to get spooked away. Thank you so much for joining us for today's video.
Sorry about last week. We didn't upload because we kind of got hit by life.
Yeah, it was a pretty busy week. We just had a lot of stuff going on, so we are sorry.
Alexa aged.
Yep, another year has gone by.
She had a birthday.
It happened.
But on another note, something really cool happened.
Mm-hmm.
We got microphones.
That's right, ghosts and ghouls. We have microphones now.
You'll be able to hear us a little better.
Yep. Sorry about the audio quality we've had in the last few videos. We have been taking in your consideration and we have put it to work. So thank you for being patient with us. We appreciate it.
We're doing the best we can.
We're doing it. So our first couple of stories are coming from Hawaii, the Big Island.
Right. From Lawrence. Thank you, Kimo Apaka, for sending us this cool story.
Thank you, Lawrence, for sending us this cool story. Although, Kimo, if you want to send us a story at some point, you should have our phone numbers. Not too sure. Anyway, thank you, Lawrence, for your story. And this one got me pretty spooked.
No, yeah, this one actually just... I get goosebumps, chicken skin, every time I hear it. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it resonated with us pretty well. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. So Lawrence, when he was a kid, he lived on the Big Island, and his sister, his older sister, had a crush on the paperboy. And this paperboy delivered every morning, and she would sit out and wait for him and grab the paper from him. And one day, he stopped showing up. And she kind of was wondering what was going on. Like, why is he not coming on his normal route? Like, So she confronted him and asked him what was going on, why he wasn't coming at the same morning time. And he said, to be honest with you, when I was leaving your house after delivering the paper in the morning, I would look back, and standing next to your house, there was a woman dressed in white. And when I looked closer, she had no face. So I decided to deliver the paper later in the day.
He said he stopped seeing her when he stopped going in the morning.
Yeah. So that was the first big instance they had at the house. This house was on a warrior's trail, and so they did have occasional things happen in the house. They'd hear knocking. They would have the TV turn on and off occasionally, just randomly. And they also had things misplaced every once in a while.
Like
so
they would leave it somewhere, go back for it, and it wasn't where they left it.
Yeah, so they did have a few weird things happening in this house. But Lawrence, when he was a kid, his mom and him were at home alone. His dad was at training at the time, and his sisters weren't home. So it was just him and his mom, and she was tucking him into bed one night. She heard the TV turn on, which isn't unusual. You know, it's happened in their house. So she goes in the living room, she turns off the TV and unplugs it, and starts heading back to her room. And she hears 3 knocks coming from the front door, faintly. She pays no mind to it. She has heard things before. But then 3 knocks come again, and the TV turns on. When she goes into the living room, the TV is off and everything is silent. She gets an odd gut feeling in her stomach, but decides to go back to her room. Knock, knock, knock. She runs to the front door and slams it open. No one is there. As soon as she realizes that she's alone, the TV turns on, and 3 loud bangs come from Lawrence's room. Lawrence is a child at this time. Her heart race accelerates, and she runs to his room. She scoops him out of bed. No one is in the room. And she runs to the front door. As she leaves, she looks back, and she sees a woman standing next to the TV, dressed in all white, with no face. She took Lawrence to his grandmother's house that night and didn't look back. That scared both her and Lawrence for a long time. And she finally spoke about this experience with her younger daughter, and her daughter told her about the newspaper boy. And that's when they realized it wasn't just a one-time thing. That woman in white with no face was always there. Oh.
Yeah, goosebumps. Chicken skin. I don't like it.
No.
I had an experience going to the hot ponds with my family. We would go to the hot ponds kind of normally. It was our thing, especially on full moons. So this one night we went, it was Alexa, my dad, myself, and my boyfriend at the time. It was, like I said, it was a beautiful full moon, and I was ready to go. So we were making our way towards the sidewalk to get out of there. The moon was so bright that it lit the sidewalk like a street light. It was just so gorgeous. And if you've been to Hawaii, you know how bright the moon is at night when it's full. So we were walking under the banyan trees with beautiful just moonlight leaking through the trees and kind of admiring it, when in the distance on the sidewalk ahead, I noticed a woman walking towards us. And so in my head, I was just thinking, like, I'm going to greet her. In Hawaii, it's custom to, like, give people a nod. It's a sign of respect. So I was thinking, like, I'll honor her, show her kindness as she approaches. So I put my head down and kind of waited for her to approach. I felt her come closer, and I looked up to nod. And then I just shot my head right back down after looking at her. I started walking faster, and my boyfriend at the time was like, "Did you see?" And I cut him off. I was like, no. Get to the car, let's go. So we walked to the car with haste. I felt my family right behind me walking just as fast as we were. Usually when we get to the car, we dry off, we take our time, we put our things in, we get comfortable, and that night, all of us, without speaking, got into the car as fast as we possibly could, shut the doors, and just tried to get out of there. As soon as we were leaving the parking lot, I said to everybody in the car, "Is it just me, or did she not have a face?" And my dad confirmed it. Alexa confirmed it. They said, yeah, we didn't see a face. She was beautifully dressed in white. She was about my height. And when I had got to her to greet her with a nod, I looked up, and all I saw was her black hair and nothing. There was just nothing here.
Which was odd because the moonlight was shining on her.
Right. And when I
should have been able to see her face.
Right. And when I looked at my boyfriend, who was like right in the same distance away from me as she was essentially, but on my side, I could see his face in the moonlight perfectly. I could see them behind me. I could see their faces in the moonlight. So the fact that I was in such close range and there was just nothing there scared me. We drove home in complete silence. None of us could say a word. Even when we got home in weeks after and years later, still to this day, we have no idea what we saw.
There are some legends circulating in Hawaii about a woman dressed in white with no face. A few of them do come from Japanese culture, which is very prevalent in Hawaii, but there is also a Hawaiian legend.
Some people believe that it is the spirit of Pele, the goddess of fire. And we'll get into that in another episode about those myths and legends.
This woman in white, guys.
Watch out.
She is spooky.
Yeah, and it's crazy because that's not like, Hawaii isn't the only place with a story of a woman in white. Mm-hmm. But Hawaii is the only place that I've heard of a woman in white with no face.
Yeah.
The fact that, okay, wait, before we say our goodbyes, Lawrence and I didn't tell each other these stories until maybe a year ago. And both of these stories happened to us so long ago when we were young. So when we sat down, we were living together, and when we sat down and told each other these stories, both of us kind of like,
taken aback.
for sure, like we didn't know what to say. We didn't know how to react. Both of us were like, are you serious? It was insane. And like still to this day, it freaks me out that we saw the exact same person, same spirit, in a different timeline and in different places.
Yep. It's crazy.
So scary.
But if any of you hear these stories and it rings some truth for you and an experience you've had or you've heard, please share it with us. We'd love to hear it.
Yep, you can send us an email at
spookedaway@gmail.com.
hit us up on our Facebook at
spookedaway. Or you can also visit us on Instagram at
spooked_away.
And all those avenues should give you updates to more content for our channel as well.
Yep, so we'll see you next week as per usual.
Thank you so much, and normalize that spook, guys.
Normalize the spook, boys.